Hey everybody, it is Trey Lewellen here with Kommerce Kings, and yes, you saw the title right. We got the amazing Jay Abraham on here. He is a legendary man worth billions of dollars to companies, making amazing things happen and changing people's lives. I mean, that's what we're doing here today. So please be the first. I'm going to be the first one to welcome Jay Abraham. What's going on, Jay?
Thank you, Trey. It's an honor, pleasure, privilege, and delight. So have at me. I'm here for the betterment of your audience.
All right. So let's get rocking and rolling, man. So I'm just going to dig right in. Okay. So I want you to describe, well, I try to describe in Jay Abraham's terms, because I try to make it justice, but now that we got you here, let's just make this work out. So can you describe to me the 3 ways that you have found to grow a business?
Sure. I have to start with a preface. People
right.
come to me all the time and say, there must be a million different ways to grow a business. And my answer is, there probably are a million tactics, techniques, approaches, but there's only 3 proven, basically universal ways. And there are 3 advanced ways, and I'll teach them real quick. The first one, very logical, very axiomatic. You increase the number of buyers. And that can be done by increasing your ability to convert, increasing the number of quality prospects, leads you convert, a lot of different ways. There's about 20 ways to do it. Second is you increase the size and thus the profit of the transaction. That can be done by selling a more expensive, advanced, expansive product service, combinations, packages. Number 3 is increasing the frequency or the utility value of the buyer. The key here, Trey, is that it costs you the majority of your time, effort, expense, capital to acquire the client, the buyer. Afterwards, it costs very little once you gain trust, respect, and credibility to ethically sell them more. And by sustaining the purchase life, by adding additional product, service, offers to them. You have 2 ways to do it, by the way. You can have lesser risk and easier entry front ends, meaning making it easier to start a relationship, and they can be self-liquidating, they can be profit, they can be gratis, they can be any of a number of things. And then you add more expensive or extensive things on the end, or package within, or upgrade after a curative period. And that's how you do it, and that's how you grow exponentially. There are, however, 3 advanced ways, and I'll share those with you too. Just 1 second. First one is you penetrate a new market every year. The second is you introduce a new product or service at least every year. The third is you acquire on an earn-out, meaning there's no risk, no investment, either a competitive business where you can consolidate and the economies of scale work, or an alternative business to your product, and I'll explain in a minute, or a complementary. So you have to say, what do people buy before, during, after, instead? And for example, if you were selling a supplement that was ingestible, you might say, well, I want to acquire another either complementary ingestible. But you could also say, if it's a weight loss supplement, well, what else do they do instead or during? Because most people do multiple things. They do portion control food, they do books, they do video training, they do equipment, they do health clubs, they do all kinds of methodology. If you own all those, you only multiply the way you monetize that need or interest. And I don't want to get too esoteric, but was that answer okay?
Yeah, that was fantastic. See, I love the 3 ways, and I love the 3 advanced ways. Actually, when you say, you're wanting to acquire a competitive business, but actually without any risk. So can you give us a little bit more, or dive into that a little bit more?
Sure. There are many companies that are doing okay, but not doing well for 2 or 3 reasons. 1, they're not good marketers. 2, they don't have the capital to leverage up or the ability. If you can consolidate their product with yours, you can compete on two different. If they're doing okay, if you search any category, there's not just one company. There might be 100. Well, all 100 aren't doing well, but just one isn't doing well either. It's probably 5 or 6. So people are buying alternative products, competitive products. If you own 2 or 3, think General Motors and all their brands. Think Procter and Gamble and all their brands. Think General Mills and all their brands. Think any of these companies. Lever and all their brands. You can do the same thing, and you can basically show somebody who's struggling to make a good living that, truthfully, if you consolidate and you eliminate all their costs, they can make more letting you do it and grow, and you give them basically, you peg it at what they were doing now, and above that, you get most of the profit, and you pay them an earn out back for what they've got, or you just do a profit share. There's many ways to do it where you have no risk, no capital, and both sides benefit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that actually makes total sense. I mean, I love that. So I don't even know if most people know this, but we actually mentor with Jay, and he's actually been helping us with our business as well. Both businesses, actually, like the consulting business and our physical coaching business. So that's actually why I wanted to have him on here, because what he shared with me over the course of the last 6 months, it's been freaking crazy. But I wanted to bring that to the table to allow you guys to get a little bit of sprinkle of what that even feels like. Because the biggest motivating factor handed down to us was actually a couple things. And the first biggest thing was a book that I received 4 years ago that I got off eBay called the Marketing Secrets of Jay Abraham.
Yeah. That's a great book.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic book. So funny. I mean, I don't even know if you know this story, but when I got my hands on that book, it was actually referred to me from Russell Brunson. And he actually referred it as one of the number one books that actually changed his life. I mean, that was the book that he said. And so that's why I was like, I went out and I freaking grabbed it. And I always keep notes of it, but I always keep notes of who referred what book at what time. And what's interesting is, I actually highly recommend that book, because when meeting you recommended a book, getting the book, Getting Everything You Have Out of Everything You Got. And I read that book, and it had the same impact on everything I do, especially as a visionary, because for visionaries, it just gives you totally multiple concepts and strategies and ways. And
it has a lot more. Actually, I think it's got 300 or 400 examples in it. So it's really easy to see implication and application.
Yeah, so those are the two books. I recommend, and as a mentor, of course, but you handed off this really cool packet called Relationship Capital, and that thing is amazing because it peaks. Which you did some sort of event in China or something, and you transcribed it, and I read through that the whole 300-page transcription of that. And that's why I wanted to take the majority of this Kommerce Kings podcast, because that to me is probably one of the biggest, most powerful strategies that I've learned in my little time of doing business with you and being mentored. And so now I have the man of the hour that knows everything and anything about that on the call. So, I'd love to just kind of let you kind of have at it.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'll start with a premise that anybody in business who thinks they have limited resources are closed-minded. You have infinite access to almost all the resources you want, and you have the equivalent of an unlimited checkbook that the checks only have to be cashed once, if and after they generate profit. Now, it'll differ by the size of your business. So I got very deeply involved decades ago in the concept of utilizing other people's assets and access, and it tended to be more focused on intangibles: their brand, their distribution channel, their affinity group, their database, their sales force, their distribution people, their products and services that could be either packaged with my clients or my products could be packaged with theirs. their endorsements. And I started developing outrageously diverse ways to leverage them because I realized that there are so many companies that deal with the same decision maker you do, who have been in business longer than you, more extensively than you, who have invested, if you cumulative the amount of capital they've put into marketing, into sales, into structures, into people, into training, into equipment, you can leverage millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of other people's intangible assets for no downside risk, no investment, and you don't need much of a yield on $100 million to get a pretty good payoff. So throughout my career, that's the kind of stuff I did. Let me give you a couple of examples so they're not abstract. One of my first successes was a product called ICEOut. ICEOut's very well known now as a consumer product. It used to be a mail order product. When we started, we basically didn't have any capital to market, but we were able to analyze lifetime value, the totality of predictable profit that a newly acquired buyer would yield over a period of time, both annually and over whatever conservative forever you want to project. And we found that every time 10 people bought a jar, 8 would rebuy every month forever until there was a cure for arthritis. And of the 8, 4 would buy another product every month. And of the 4, 2 would buy twice a year on average, bulk to give away. And the net was that every time we brought in 10 $3 sales, we were accruing $50 net profit on all 10, even though 2 wouldn't even rebuy. And with that piece of information, it would last until somebody came up with a cure for arthritis. So it was almost perpetual. With that piece of information, we went to, we had no marketing. I went to ultimately 1,000 radio stations, television stations, publications, magazines, people who were targeting the same older profile market who had arthritis, bursitis, but weren't competitive, and we do things in their packages. But we got them all to promote on the basis of paying them on performance. We let them keep 100% of the first sale, and we actually gave them an amount more than that. And all we wanted was rapid transmission of the buyer name so we could fulfill right away, because we knew that half of our repurchases came 15 days later. So with that, we took a product that was almost dead and we built 500,000 plus buyers. We got $160 billion on today's rates of no-cost advertising. That advertising forced retail distribution, meaning people would go to their drugstore, their grocery, and say, "Do you have Icy Hot?" And they would buy it. It converted it from a mail order product to a consumer product, which made its asset value about 8 times more than it would have been as a mail order product. Same business, same company. It was sold. I didn't own it, but I got a nice reward. It was sold to G.D. Searle, which was a big pharmaceutical company in Chicago that was ultimately sold to one in New Jersey. And here's the hilarity. Because they were focused on consumer products, they did not, which is interesting, even care about the mailing list, the buyers, the 500,000 buyers. They did not care about the 1,000 media sources we had developed as distribution. We got to keep those. The only thing we had was a prohibition about selling arthritis products. So we just went right back and used all the same things and built another business. That's one. Another one was I've been to China many, many times straight. And the first time I was there, I had a session at the end of my 3-day program where they could ask questions through translation. And a young man approached the mic and said, "Jay, what do you do if you're too small and the banks won't lend you money to grow?" And my first answer is, well, what would you do with the money if you had it? That's the first question I want to know. What would you do if you had the money? He said, well, I'm a small local motorcycle manufacturer, only in China with 100 million population city could you be a local motorcycle manufacturer? But he said, I would love to go all over Asia, open a factory, hire salespeople, get dealers. I said, okay, but I'm trying to understand why you need the money. He's starting to get frustrated. He goes, I just told you. And I said, you don't need the money. Your problem is a solution to someone else's problem, bigger. I said, go all over Asia, find somebody who's not competitive but complementary, has a huge factory that's underutilized, already has salespeople, distribution dealers, and make a deal with them. It took me a minute and a half to explain that. I came back 15 months later. Same guy comes to the mic, smiling like the Cheshire Cat. And he goes, I did what you said. And I spent my whole life traveling and answering questions, so I didn't even remember what I said. I had him repeat it. He said, here's what I did. I went to Asia, went all over, ended up in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, found the largest lawnmower manufacturer in Asia. They had a second shift that was underutilized, made a deal where I had to bring the tools and the dies, and anybody doesn't know it, those are the mechanisms for molding and forming the metal. I had to train the people. They provided the people. They already had salespeople, regional offices, thousands of dealers. He said in our first year together with virtually no investment, we split $10 million of profit. Another interesting story, and it's not mine, but it's very powerful. Many years ago, the insurance company Colonial Penn was started to really focus on groups, on group type coverage. And they were struggling, trying to break into groups that already had affiliations with other insurance companies. And after a couple of years, somebody got the brilliant idea that if they couldn't break into an organization or an association, why not start our own? So they started the American Association of Retired People so they would have a captive client. And they built that to 13 or 14 million, and they generated billions of dollars of insurance. Another cool thing, and this is hilarious, but it's a great story, it's true. There's a man in Northern California, and this is not my story, it's a colleague's, who loved Porsche automobiles. Now, I own one, and they're nice, but I don't love them. He loved them, but he could never afford one. His dream was to afford one. But he found out that a small Porsche dealership was available for purchase somewhere in Northern California, I don't know where. And it required $1 million. He didn't even have enough money to buy, at that time, probably a $80,000 Porsche. But he went ahead and applied and got the package. And he carefully read all the codicils and provisions and stipulations and what I would call, what would I call it? They were not loopholes, but they were opportunities. And he found one opportunity that gave him this idea. He realized that he could provide as many demos as he wanted, as long as the demo is an unlicensed car with a dealer plate that you can drive for, I think it depends on the state, but up to 3 months and 3,000 miles. And then it has to be either sold as new, or if it's got more than that, sold as used. But if you sold it new at a slight discount, still very profitable. With that piece of information, he ran ads all over Northern California, and they said, drive a brand new Porsche every year for life for a one-time investment of $75,000. And people would call it and say, here's the deal. I'm getting a Porsche dealership. You put down $75,000 and you will get to drive for at least 3 months a brand new Porsche every year. And you'll never pay a cent more. And he got, I think, 200 people to do it. He needed $1 million for the dealership. He got $1.5 million, so he had operating capital. He didn't have to give 1 penny away in equity, nor did he have to pay back 1 percentage point in loan. And half the people bought the cars. He gave them great prices, but he still made profit. All the people became advocates of his selling them. And that's to show, I mean, I can go on and on, but does that show you capability?
Yeah, yeah. That's massive. So massive. So you just shared, whoo, up here, like Big Vision, like Porsche dealerships, AARP, like all those people. I mean, I want to share with you. I mean, you know this, but from taking that idea, that massive big concept of relationship capital, because I've been actually able to leverage littler deals around it, and these little deals work to bigger deals.
Yeah, well, you have to start somewhere.
Yeah. You got to start somewhere. So I want to share with you the 3 ways that we've actually incorporated the idea of relationship capital. And the first thing was, I mean, I love how you say the problem or your problem is the solution to someone else's problem, or someone might have the solution to your problem, is the way to think about that. But as you said, I mean, the thing was, the first one that we did is we actually we let go of our 40-person call center agents here, and we actually just ran out of leads. We couldn't keep them anymore, so we let them go. And so now I got this 8,000 square foot facility in cubicles and all this, just kind of chilling out here, and I'm paying rent on it, and we're not using it. So that was a big problem for us. So what we started to look for is people that have call centers that need more space. And so we actually found one. I was about a month, and they said, hey, we're busting at the seams. We need a bigger place. We need somewhere else. We need somewhere to go and where to expand. And we said, well, why not have it set up with us? I mean, we got the cubicles, we got the Ethernet, we got the electric. Like, we have all that stuff. And they said, that's awesome. And that was exactly what we needed. They were busting the seams, and we solved their problems. We can't hire any more people because they didn't have enough space, is what they're saying. Their lease didn't have enough more space to give to their current agents. So we were the solution to their problem. So, I mean, I just thought that was freaking fantastic.
That is great.
And then the second one, well, the other example, which you actually helped me with, was getting with Lee, who actually runs Independent Living magazines. So Lee's over here building a magazine, writing it all, right? 20-page article, some really in-depth stuff about just how to live independently. And then secondly, he's also doing at the same time simultaneously is creating offers. Like, he's creating these offers every month for his direct mail piece. So he's a pretty smart dude, and he's really great at direct mail. I mean, he knows how to crisp the reader, like how to get them excited and how to make them read everything and get really acquainted with them and build trust, and then sell them on the back, which would take us years probably to figure out what he's doing or how to hire somebody to do that, or get a copywriter, or do a direct mail expert, like all this stuff. And he's already doing that. He's already got 20,000 subscribers to his current magazine, but he's run out of ways to expand and grow. So that's his problem. And then our problem over here was we need something to mail out to our subscribers because we wanted to go do a direct mail piece. I mean, that was our problem there. It was insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, you made that intro, and we actually flew to him, and we sat down at his desk, and we said, this is what we need. And he goes, well, this is kind of what we need. And I said, well, this is going to be a freaking fantastic partnership, because what we did was we are now stuffing his mail or his magazine, which is $139 value, and giving it to our members. So we purchased it for them for free. And then we're splitting the profit share with the offers on the back end with the cost of the mailing. And it's freaking working. It's fantastic because, like, I don't have to worry about the writing of copy or creating the offers or learning direct mail. Like, I don't even have to worry about me trying to figure out how or what we're going to sell in it, or like, it's just amazing. So that was my problem. He had a problem, and then together we found the solution.
Like, brilliant.
I mean, it was brilliant. I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, that explosion, right? So that led to a recent Reactive Funnel event we had 70 people at this last Reactive Funnel, and there's 2 people sitting in the audience, and one guy has this beard oil and that he's trying to get off Amazon, right? He's trying to expand, and then another guy has a barbecue sauce that is like super good. Let us taste it. He's in stores doing better business to consumer, right? And both parties, we said, you know what? Our avatar, our gun guys, they grow beards, right? They're gun dudes. They grow beards. Our gun dudes love barbecue sauce. And it's just in the stats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of us going out, right, and building an entire beard organization or an oil club membership or a customer service or distribution or factory ingredients, like all that stuff, which they've already perfected over the last 7 years, I think it was. And I said, well, why don't we just email a little postcard or mail a postcard that goes in the mailer that we mail every month for our subscribers and give them the option to fill that out, mail it back for $10, and then you get 10 samples or something for beard oil or 10 barbecue sauces or something like that, and built it into their continuity program. So then we do a profit share, and boom, like now we got an oil continuity program. Now I got a barbecue continuity program. And the same thing is with the barbecues, right? That's what was so amazing. Like, it didn't matter if they're getting a new spice or a new whatever, like they're taking care of that piece, but we're helping them build that out. And the cool piece is the same thing here is when we send a coupon or we send a postcard and say, hey, do you want to try out the best of the world's best barbecue sauce for free, right? Or we email that a postcard or something like that. I mean, what I want to do is send out samples, and then they put out this continuity program because it's consumable. So they're going to keep coming back, but they're taking all of that stuff. They're able to expand that. We're able to grow their continuity piece, and it works for both parties. Like it's working for us. It's working for them. They've added continuity to members to their piece. We've added continuity peoples to theirs. Like, it's amazing. So that's how we've been able to personally use a relationship capital from your advice.
And Trey, if you would like, we've done 2 or 3 2-hour short course primers on it, video. We've also transcribed it. I'll be happy to get the digital files over to you. You can put it on your website if it helps you.
We'll do that, and we'll put the link below this call. That'll make it easy.
Yeah, no, so I'll give it to you. You can put it on your website.
Yeah, we just put it on the website and we'll get it out there. So we almost got to go. We almost going to run out of time, but we have to do behind the scenes real quick, okay? So before we do, can you share real quick your 50 Shades of Gray, 50 Shades of Gray, Jay?
Yes, but I got to share why.
Okay.
So anybody who's followed me for a long time, when I was your age, we were so prolific. And then I took a hiatus, and then I started going back and working with all kinds of very diverse companies around the world, and my knowledge base expanded, my understanding, and we started creating an uncontrollable amount of really cool products, interviews, books, written material, perspectives. And I found that there were certain people trying to use my body of work selfishly and file share it, and it crushed me. And so we decided 5 years ago we were not going to try to sell a lot. We do sell some very advanced stuff, but we were going to be the greatest benefactor that existed for entrepreneurship, and that we were going to freely gift better content, better resources, better instruction, better expertise, no strings attached, no cost, no opt-in, nothing sells anything, because we wanted to be the one entity that invested in the business world first. So there's about 800 hours. There's 8 or 9 hours on preeminence. There's, 8 or 9 keynotes. There's Tony Robbins and I doing problem solving. There's Damon John and I doing problem solving. There's 4 full-length books. There's 130 or 40 different essays on what I call my business worldview and how I look at life. There's all kinds of wild stuff, and there's no opt-in, and none of it sells anything. It's just abraham.com, /, the new, 50 shades, 50 shades. But put in abraham.com, because if you put in 50 Shades of Jay, there's another guy named Jay that does pornography, and you'll go, what? But if you do abraham.com, /50 shades, you'll have a field day. And I'd like to hope that it's at a level of elevation, not just sophistication, but value creation that will prove invaluable. And if not, then not. And all we ask people is, if it impacts them, send it on to somebody else. But that's it. That's it. Abraham.com, /50 shades. Back to you, Trey.
Okay, so that's it. So, hey, real quick, we're going to do a real quick behind the scenes. So before we do, let's just let Jay off here. Jay, thank you very much. This was invaluable. I mean, so much information. This is game changer stuff. This is going to change people's lives. It's absolutely stunning.
My great honor. I want to say to you that you're one of the most impressive and expansive thinkers I think I've met of your genre. And My take on you is you have a lot of enormous expertise and value to give, to create, to share, and I hope people avail themselves of it. And say hello to your brother, and we'll talk soon.
All right, we'll do. See you, Jay. Bye-bye.